Interior funeral home parlor day. Flower arrangements and somber music fill an ornate funeral parlor. A wooden casket sits open at the front of the room. Somber-faced guests dressed in black line up to pay their respects to the deceased. Open casket. In the casket lies Irma Ayres, her gray hair pulled into a thin, tight bun, her pale, embalmed face forever frozen in a thin-lipped grimace. Back to the scene. After passing the coffin, an older, portly man offers condolences to two women dressed in black, sitting alone in the front row. Betty and her sister Meg Ayres. Both women wear their hair pulled into buns like the deceased Irma.
God's sakes, pull yourself together.
I'm John, acquaintance of your mother's. Sorry for your loss.
Yes, thank you.
I wish we could have met under better circumstances. Another time.
I miss her so much.
Please stop.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
Father Marcus stands at the podium, Bible in hand, beside the casket.
In honor of her life and her devotion to God, please stand and repeat after me the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Dissolve to interior funeral home foyer later. Betty stands next to a table with a large oval mirror behind it. The guest book sits at the table.
Your mother was a pious woman. Obey the golden rule. Spare the rod and spoil the child, she'd say. Waste not, want not. Vanity is a sin.
She loved those old sayings.
Oh, she was a saint.
Yes, of course.
Terrible thing, her dying so suddenly.
Betty turns to the guest book and searches the pages. A list of names. Her finger runs down the list of names until they come to John Walters. Back to the scene. Dissolve to interior kitchen, morning. The room is frozen in time. The decor is straight out of the 50s. Betty hurriedly looking through a phone book. She circles a name and starts to pick up an old touch-tone phone, then stops. She goes to the kitchen door, opens it, and peeks into the living room. In the living room, we see that the room is suffocatingly dark, stuffed with heavy wooden chairs, furniture, and musty drapery. Boxes are stacked on chairs, tables, and on the floor. Meg, still dressed in black, sitting amid the boxes, preoccupied with wrapping figurines in tissue paper. Back to the scene. Betty quietly closes the kitchen door. Keeping an eye on the door, she picks up the telephone and dials.
Hello, is this John? Oh, good. This is Betty. Betty Ayres. My sister and I just wanted to thank you for your kind words at the funeral. Oh, yes, I miss her terribly, of course. Such a...
Betty grows almost giddy as she continues to talk. Interior living room night. Dressed in a form-fitting red dress, Betty stands in front of a mirror, primping. Her long, wavy hair, free of the bun, flows over her shoulders.
Mother wouldn't approve of that dress. And your hair. Are you going to help me with Mother's things?
No, I'm meeting John Waters for dinner in half an hour.
A date? Mother wouldn't.
Mother isn't here, is she? I'm sorry. I'll only be gone for an hour or so.
You promise?
Yes, I promise. Meg, this is very important to me.
Who is this John Waters?
That nice man I met at Mama's funeral.
You met a man at Mama's funeral?
Yes, I met a man.
Interior, Italian restaurant, night. Betty enters a quaint, candlelit restaurant. She stops at the front desk and talks to the maitre d'. He points to a man at a table in the back of the restaurant. His back to them. Betty straightens her shoulders, adjusts her dress, and walks briskly towards him. The man turns to request something from the waitress. Betty stops in her tracks. The man is the older, portly man from the funeral. Betty turns and dashes out the door. Interior living room. Meg is sitting on the floor wrapping knickknacks. The front door swings open and Betty rushes in.
Where's the funeral book?
Why? What's wrong?
Damn it, where is it?
Your language.
Meg points to a desk stacked with papers. Betty hurries to the desk, picks up the book, runs her finger down the list of names, and frustrated, she drops the book to the floor.
He didn't sign the book. How am I going to find him?
Who, John Walters?
No! He's not the man I met. Where's Mother's address book?
It's with Mama's photo album.
Betty rushes to the box and dumps the contents on the floor.
Be careful with those. Mama wouldn't like to see them.
Here it is!
Betty picks up a small black book and leafs through it. She tosses the book to the side.
He's got to be in one of these!
She grabs one, flips through the pages, tosses it aside. She leafs through one album after another, photos falling to the floor. Photos. Photos of a woman and two baby girls. Pictures of a woman and the two young girls. Pictures of a woman and two teenage girls. And finally, pictures of a stern-looking old woman and two grown women, Betty and Meg. The three women are dressed alike, no makeup, austere clothes, and hair pulled into buns. Back to the scene. Unable to find what she's looking for, Betty drops to the floor and begins rocking. Meg calls up beside her and puts an arm around Betty's shoulders. She picks up one of the photos and lays it in Betty's lap. A photograph of one of the sisters and their mother sitting on a couch in the very room they're in. There are no smiles, no happy expressions, just three dour women trapped in the past.
Don't worry, we'll always have each other, just like when Mama was alive.
Just like when Mama was alive.
Besides, what a strange place to meet a man. I mean, well, I suppose it's like Mama always said. Funerals have a way of bringing people together.
So smart, sister. That's why you were always Mama's favorite. What if I make us some tea?
Just like you used to make for Mama?
Yes, just like I made for Mama.
Interior, funeral home, parlor day. Flower arrangements and somber music fills the funeral parlor. Black-clad mourners line up beside a wooden casket waiting to pay their final respects to the deceased. A woman in a slinky black dress and black veil sits alone in the front row. An old woman pauses in front of her.
My dear, it's awful and so sad.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Well, coming together, isn't that what funerals are all about?
Yes, that's what they're all about.
As the old woman walks away, a man's hand comes to rest on the woman's shoulder. The woman in black raises her head and lifts her veil. It's Betty. Her lips are painted a deep red. Her face shimmers with impeccably placed makeup. Highlights brighten her hair. A smile spreads across Betty's face. She turns and looks up. John stands beside her. And in the casket, Meg's pale, embalmed face is frozen in a thin-lipped grimace.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
Fade out.